So this task here says write a program that prints all single digit numbers of base 10 starting from 0 followed by a new line. All your code should be in the main function. It says write a program that prints all single digit numbers of base 10. Okay, so it means you are going to print anything from 0 to what? To 9. 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 9, because they said what? Single digit. 10 is what? Is a double digit, so you don't need 10. You are not required to what? To print 10. So we are only going to print from 9 downwards up to 0, right? Because they said starting from 0. So let's see how we are going to do this. So I think this is the most simplest task in this project, I think. So let's open it and see. Okay, so here in this case you can see we are not given any condition. We are not told to use putcar or we should use printf. So it means that whatever function we use, as far as the output is correct, it will work, right? We can use the standard input. So sorry, the standard library. So let's include this. I'm going to use the standard library here, stdio.h, right? So then Betty documentation. So main, I will just say main function here, then the return 0. So then the main function here, int main void. Okay, so we are printing from what? From 0 to 10, right? So I can simply use a for loop. I can say int I, right? Then I will say for. So I'm starting my counting from what? From 0. So I is equals to what? Is equals to 0, right? Then what is the condition I want for this loop to run? So I want this loop to keep running until I is what? Is equals to 10, right? So I can say I should be less than or equals to, sorry, I can say I should be less than 10. Okay, so because I'm only interested in printing all the digits that are less than 10, that's why I said I less than 10. Okay, so the loop is going to stop if I is greater than 10 or is equals to 10. Okay, so the next thing is what? Is the increment. So I'll say I plus plus, right? So what should be the, how am I going to print this? Can simply use printf and say okay, percentage d, right? I think that's all. Just percentage d then I, that's all. So followed by what? Sorry, I'm supposed to put semicolon here. Yes, then followed by what? A new line. So I can use simply say printf again, then a new line here, right? So I will simply return 0, right? So this loop here will initialize I from 0. It will start from 0. So the first thing is when 0 is selected, that's the first iteration, it's going to print what? The value of I, which is 0. After printing it, it will come back here and increment it, right? And what? If it increments this I, it will become what? 1. This will become 1 here. So it will check, is 1 less than 10? Yes, 1 is less than 10. Okay, then it will go into the loop and print this I again. And print I again, which is 1, right? So it will now increment again, right? It will increment again. After incrementing, that 1 will become what? Will become 2. So our I will become 2 now, right? Then it will check, is 2 less than 10? Yes, 2 is less than 10. Then it will go into the loop, inside the loop. And what? And it will print the value of I. If I becomes 10, it will come here and what? And set I to be 10. So it will check, is I less than 10? No, I is not less than 10. Therefore, it will exit the loop. It will not print 10, it will exit the loop. And it will print this new line here. So that's just what this function is going to do. So let's save and exit. So let's first run Betty to see if our documentation is correct. Let's try and make Betty happy. Yes, so our documentation is correct for Betty. So let's compile and see. Let's paste. Okay, yes, so we've compiled and our compilation is correct. Let's run the program and see if we get the correct result. Yes, so you can see we got 1 2 3 4 5 6 up to 9, same as this, right? From 0 to 9, that's what we get, and it's the same thing as what is given here, right? So now let's add, commit and push so that we run the checker. Commit, so let me just say task 5, then push. Okay, so now let's check. Yes, so you can see we've passed all the checks. So moving to the next task here. So this task here says what? Write a program that print all single digit numbers of base 10 starting from 0, right? So followed by a new line. You are not allowed to use any variable type car. Okay, so you can only use putcar function in this case. So you can only use putcar twice in your code. All your code should be in the main function. In the above example here, as you can see, we have no restrictions. That's why we used what printf to print the value, right? But in this case, we are told to use putcar. Now, what does putcar do? Like I said, putcar prints characters, right? So any character, anything we want to print using putcar has to be a character. And here they said what? We should not declare any variable character. So how are we going to use putcar to print any other thing apart from character? It sounds confusing, right? Because putcar only prints character, and here they told us that not to declare anything character. So how are we going to do this? Okay, so it's just a small trick. Actually, we are just going to make some small changes to the above code that we just finished. So let's just open the file here and you'll see how this thing works. Very, very simple task. Okay, yes, so first let me include my standard library stdio.h. so Betty documentation, so main function, right? So return always 0, right? So int min, so void. Okay, so we are going to what? Print, write a program that print all single digits of base 10. Okay, we've done similar program above. I will just say int I, right? So for I, just refer to the previous previous code. You'll be able to understand this. So I less than 10, right? I less than 10, then I plus plus, right? Okay, so I will simply say what? In this case, we are going to use putcar. In the above task, in the previous task, we use printf, but here we are to use putcar. And putcar cannot print what? Digits. Putcar only prints characters, and we are told not to declare anything of type character. So how are we going to do this? You can use putcar to print digit, but you have to convert that digit into what? A character. So how can we do that? I can simply say putcar, right? Then what? Then I. You know, putcar is going to print what? The value of I, right? But since I here is taking a value that is a digit, so it's not going to print it. It will definitely give us an error. Let me just run this first. Let's run this before I show you the correct this thing. So then what again? Then a new line, right? So I will say putcar. I'm just going to run this thing, and so that I'll be able to see the error. It will not print this, okay? It will not print this. So then what? Then return, right? Then 0. Okay, so let's save and exit. Okay, so now let's run Betty on this file and see. Okay, Betty is fine. So let's try compiling. You'll be able to see the error now. So paste. Okay, you see it does not print anything. It will not print anything for us. The compiler did not actually get the error, but you are not going to get the correct output. You can see here there is nothing. If I run the program again, You can see it's still displaying nothing. Why? Because we use putcar to display what? To display a digit, which is not possible. So how can we get putcar to display a digit? Like I said, we have to convert that putcar, we have to convert that digit into what? Into a character. So I can simply come here. When I say putcar I, just give a space, then plus, then 0 in quotes. So this will convert this digit here into what? A character. And putcar will be able to print your digit. Okay, so let's save now and exit. Let's compile again. Wow, so you can see I'll have to log in again. Let me log in again. All right, so let me clear this. We are about compiling, right? So let's copy this and compile. Okay, let's compile, paste. Okay, so now let's run the program and see if we will get the desired output. Yes, so now you can see we've gotten what? 1, 2, 9 using what? Using the putcar function. So let me display this thing for you and explain it once again before we proceed to the next task. Okay, .c, right? So you can see this is the file, right? So if you are to use putcar to display a digit, anything that is not a character, you have to convert that digit into what? A character, by simply adding plus and then 0 in a single quote. Okay, I don't know if it works for double quote, you can check, but I know it works for single quote because we've seen the output here, right? So this is just how you can do that. So let's add commit and push. So I will just say task 6. So let's push. Okay, so now let's see if the code works. Yes, so as you can see, we have passed all the checks. So this is how you can do that. Okay, so let's move to the next task here. Let me clear my screen. So in this task here, we are told to write a program that prints the lowercase alphabet in reverse, followed by a new line. What does this mean? It means we should print alphabet starting from Z, right? Y, X, up to A. We are not starting from A to Z, we are starting from Z to A. So how can we do that? Any idea? All right, so let's proceed. I can simply say vi. Let's open the file. Okay. All right, so we are told to use only putcar, right? So let me include the library stdio.h, right? So Betty documentation, simply say main function, then return always 0, then int main, right? We are told to write our code in the main function. So int main, so this should be void, right? All right, so what are we going to do now? We are to print alphabet in reverse. So we are going to use a for loop, right? So I can say int I, right? Sorry, here I can use, since I'm using putcar, I can simply say char I, right? Since I'm printing characters. Okay, I'm printing characters and I'm using putcar. So you see putcar prints what? Characters. So it's normal. I can say char I, then I will say for I equals to what? I'm printing them in lowercase, right? And I'm starting from Z. So I will say Z. That's my initialization. So the next is what? My condition. What will be my condition? I will just say I greater than or equals to what? Or equals to A. That's how the condition should be. The condition should be anything I want to print should be either greater than A or equals to A, right? And I want it to start from what? From Z. So anything outside this, it's going to exit the loop, right? So I will say what? Sorry, this should be a semicolon. Then what? In this case, since I'm starting from the top, not the bottom, I'm not going to increment, because if it started from Z here, is there any alphabet in front of Z? There is no any alphabet in front of Z. Z is the last alphabet, as we know. So since I'm starting from Z, instead of me to increment, I will simply say I minus minus. Why? Because I'm starting my count from what? From Z. And there is nothing in front of Z. If I say I plus plus, there is nothing. It's not going to increment because there is nothing in front of Z. but when you say I minus minus, it will print Z, it will print Y, X up to what? Up to A here, right? So now let's continue. So I will simply say putcar here, then what? Then I, then problem solved, right? We are going to use putcar only twice like they stated, so we can just say putcar here, right? Putcar for the, that's for the new line, right? Putcar, then slash n, then we return the function. Okay, so now let's save and exit and see. Let's run the Betty checks. Okay, yes, so Betty is fine. So let's compile and see. Okay, yes, so we have no issues. So let's run the program before pushing. Let's see what will happen. Yes, so you can see it started printing from Z, Y, X, W, so up to A. You can see just like this here. Okay, so it means our code works. So now let's push it. Commit task, I can say task 7, right? Then push. Okay, so let's check our code. Yes, so you can see it's worked, right? So let's move to the next task. Let me first open the file. Okay, so paste it here. All right, so this task here says write a program that print all the numbers of base 16 in lowercase followed by a new line. All the numbers of base 16. So what base 16? Base 16 is what? From 0 to what? To 15, right? In base 16 is 0 to what? To 15. But the digit 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 are not displayed as what? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let me just show you what I meant, okay? Let me open my notepad. When you are talking about this thing, hexadecimal, from 0 to 9 are what? Are denoted as what? They are normal, this thing, normal digit. 10 is what? Is denoted as A, right? 11 is denoted as B. 12 is denoted as C. 13 is denoted as D. 14 is denoted as E. 15 is denoted as what? F. So this is where it stops. Okay, base 16, that is 16 digit, right? If you count from 0 to 15 is 16. 0, 1, 2 up to 15, you find 16 digits. So they said we should print from 0 to 9 and what? And all this and anything from 10, 11, 12 should be what? Should be displayed in lowercase. That's just what they mean. This is the lowercase actually. So let's do that. So first let's include, we are to use putcar function, right? So let's include the library hash include stdio.h, right? So Betty documentation is next. Main function, so return always 0. So now the main function, int main void, right? Okay, so now how are we going to do this? The first thing we are going to do is to first print from what? Where is the file? The first thing we are going to do is to print from 0 to 9. Let's first print from 0 to 9. Okay, so how can we do that? I can simply say what? I can say int I, right? Then I will say for I equals to 0. I'm beginning my counting from 0, right? So I should be what? Should be less than 10. I don't want 10 to be printed because 10 is what? 10 is A. So now I'm only interested in printing from 0 to 9, right? So what will be this thing? It should be an increment. Okay, so here right? So I'm asked to use what? To use putcar. So I will say putcar, right? And what? I will say I, then plus. Why did I do this? Because I'm printing a digit, and putcar only prints what? Characters. So if I do like this, I'm converting that digit to what? To a character. Okay, so now I'm done with this. This will print what? The numbers from 0 to 9. So the next is to print from what? From 10 to 15. So I can simply say char, or let me do the declaration here where it's supposed to be. Okay, here I can say char, right? I can say j in this case. Okay, so this is where I'm going to use it. I will say for j equals to what? Equals to a. For j equals to a, because I'm starting from what? From 10, which is a. If for j equals to a, I will say j is either less than or equals to what? F, because f is the last number, right, of 15. F. So less than or equals to f, then I will say what? J, sorry, this should be in quotes. Yes, then j plus plus. So close this, and here I will simply say putcar j. Here there is no need for me to convert it because this already takes what? A character. So there is no need for that. So I can now do what? They said we can only use putcar 3 times. Yes, we've used putcar twice here. So I can simply say putcar, that's for the new line. So, sorry, slash n, yeah. Okay, so now the return. So return is 0, right? So now let's save and exit. Let's run Betty and see. Yes, so you can see Betty is fine, right? So let's compile the program and see here. All right, yes, so you can see the compilation is successful as well. So let's run the program and see if we will get the desired output. Yes, so you can see we've gotten from 0 to 9 and then A, B, C, D, E, F. This is it, right? This is exactly what is here. So let's add, let's commit. Let me just say task 8. So let's push, right? So let's check our code and see if it will work. Yes, so you can see it worked, right? So let's move to the next task. First, let me clear my screen. So this task here says write a program that prints all possible combination of single digit numbers. Okay, single digit numbers, that's 0 to 9, right? From 0 to 9, these are what? Single digit numbers. Numbers must be separated by comma followed by a space. So in between these single digit numbers has to be a comma and a space. So numbers should be printed in ascending order, that's from 0 upwards, right? You can only use putcar function. All your code should be in the main function. You can only use putcar 4 times in your code. You are not allowed to use any variable of type car. All right, so let's open the file first and see. So vi, okay, so since we are using putcar, so let me include the library for that. That's the standard library, right? stdio.h. Okay, so Betty documentation, this should be main function, right? So return always 0, then the main function here, int main, then void. All right, good. So now we are to print all possible combination of single digit numbers, right? So how can we do this? I can say int I, because definitely we are using a for loop. So I equals to what? We are printing single digit, that's from 0, right, to what? To 9. 0, then what? I should be what? Less than 10. 10 is not inclusive, right? Then what? Then I plus plus. Isn't it? So I will say putcar here. Putcar. Then what? Then I. This will print all the numbers. But here, if you can see, they said numbers must be separated by a comma, right? The numbers must be separated by a comma. So instead, I can do this. Since I'm adding something more than one line, I have to put it in curly braces here. So I will say putcar. First, print the number. Then what next? Then print a comma, right? So putcar, a comma, right? This is it. You have to put it within the quotes. Then what is space, right? Putcar, then what? Then space. So you can just give a space here. This will denote spacing here. All right. So what next? That's a new line, I guess. Let's check. So putcar, then /n, right? Then return. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm doing. This is not that complex. It's just that you are printing the number first, then print what? A comma, then what? Print a space. That's just it. Okay. So now let's save and exit and see. I know there has to be a problem. There are some things I did intentionally just to show you something. So let's run Betty and see. Okay, Betty is not happy. Space required before the open parenthesis. Okay, that is in the return here, right? So okay, so let's run Betty again. Okay, now Betty is happy. Let's compile. So let's paste this here. Okay, so now let's run the program and see. So you can see we are not getting the desired output. We are just getting comma, 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 comma. So this is not what we need, right? So let's open the file again. Oops, I opened the compiled file. So .c. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Since we are not told that this should be in a new line, there's nothing that says we should do something in a new line here, right? So I'm going to what? I'm just going to remove this here. I'm going to remove this. Where is it? This new line here. So if I remove this, right? I removed this. So now since we are printing a digit, right? And we are using putcar, we have to come here and add what? I know some of you might have already seen it, right? So like I said, I did some things intentionally. So let's give a space, then plus 0 here, right? This will work as well. So let's save this. Let's compile. So now let's run it and see what will happen. Yes, so you can see we've gotten from 0 to 9, but we are not supposed to print a comma here because there is nothing after 9, right? We are not supposed to print a comma after this and a space because there is nothing that comes after it. So how can we fix this? So let's open the file again. So instead, I can simply come here. I can simply come here inside this for loop here. Inside the for loop, I can simply say if I is equals to 9, right? If I is equals to 9, then just putcar I plus what? Plus 0. So if it is equals to 9, it should only print that number, no spacing, no comma, right? I can simply do I can simply say else here, else, then give the indentation for this to make them under the else condition, right? Else statement. Okay, so what this is going to do simply is that if it will first check if I is equals to 9. Firstly, for 0, it will check is I equals to 9, is 0 equals to 9? No. So it will not go into this statement here. It will not execute that. It will come here and execute this. So this statement here will only be executed if I is 9. So it will keep incrementing from 0, 1, 2 up to 9. If it comes to 9, it will say, if it will check, is 9 equals to 9? Yes, 9 equals to 9. Okay, then it will just print putcar I plus 0. That is that's the value. Now it will just print it, and then it will move out of the loop of the statement. That's just it. So it will increment to 10, and you can see if it is 10, it will exit out of the entire for loop, right? So you can see here we used how many putcar? We used 4 putcar, just like the way they stated it here. So let's try and see if this works. Okay, so let's compile the program. Wow, there has to be, what is it, this statement, but the let, okay, there is something. Let me show you. Okay, since I'm using since the else statement contains more than a single line, I have to put it in the curly braces. That's the error. Okay, so here, right, I think this should be fine now. So let's save and exit again. All right, so the compiler is happy now as well. Let me clear the screen, then let me run this program. So you can see we've got it from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So this is what we need here, right? So let's try adding and committing the program and see. Right, then commit task 9, right? Then push. So let's check our code and see if it will work. I just hope this works. Wow. So there's an error. Let's see what the error is. The output is not correct. So Betty coding style. Okay, let me run Betty and see why is Betty not happy with us. 9, right? .c. Okay, Betty is not happy with us on line 18. There is a trailing white space. Okay, sorry, Auntie Betty. Right? Sorry, Auntie Betty. Line 18, right? I can just say set number to see the number displayed. Line 18. It says trailing. Okay, yes. This is it. I can see the trailing white spaces. Yeah, just remove this. That's all. So the correct output. So what should be the correct output here? Let's first save this and exit again. Let me compile. Compile. So let me add commit task 9, right? Then push. Let me check again if Betty is happy now. All right. Okay, yes, so now we are done with Betty error. So what's the next error here that we're having? It says correct output. Okay, it says, okay, this is what happened. We were expected to get 29 characters long, but instead we got 28. So definitely there has to be a space at the end of this number 9, right? Let's first open the file here. Sorry, let me open this thing here. Cat. Sorry, let me 9. Let me run it. So let's count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Yes, we got 28. So we have to add a space after what? After this 9. Wow. So there is something we have to do again. Let's open the file now and see. .c. So here, had it mean we can use more than 4 putcars? We can just come here and add another putcar under this, right? That will take up the spacing. But since we are limited to 4 putcar, I don't think there is any possible way we can do to solve this right now as it is. So I think the best thing we are supposed to do now is to rewrite this code in this format. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say here is this. So the loop should be the way it is, right? So I will simply say putcar, right? Then I will say I, then what, plus this, right? This is this, right, for this case. So sorry, there has to be yes. So here I can now proceed and say okay. So if a tab key, yeah, should be within the loop. If I can say if I is not equals to the letter, or sorry, the digit 9, so it should execute this. If I is not equals to the digit 9, it should say okay, putcar, then what, then the comma, right, then what, putcar, then the spacing. Okay, then the spacing. So this is just what I'm going to do. So initially I will say okay, for I equals to 0, it should what, print the number, right? But if I is not equals to 9, it will check. If I is not equals to 9, then it will print this comma and this spacing. This means that if I is equals to 9, it will not print comma and this spacing. Hope I'm making I'm communicating, right? Do you understand this concept? I know this is a bit confusing. It's just that I am interested in what, in printing all these numbers here, but I don't want this 9 here to have a comma and a space, right? All I want is just a new line. I just want it to go to a new line. I don't want it to have a comma and a space here, even though it's not stated here to do it in a new line, but we have to do it in a new line. Okay, so that's why I said okay, it should first print the number, right? It starts from 0 and then prints the number. When it prints the number, then it will go to this if statement. It will check that number that it prints, is it equals to 9? No. If it is not equals to 9, then it will print this comma here and then go ahead and print the spacing here. That's just what this is going to do. Okay, so you can just come here and give the spacing and say putcar, right? Then what's the spacing, /n, right? So as you can see, we used what, 4 putcars. So now let's save and exit. Let's run Betty and see if Betty is happy with this changes we made. Okay, Betty is not happy. Okay, there's a space in line 15, right? So let's open it and see. That's line 50, right? Set number to see the numbering, line 15. Okay, there's a spacing around the plus sign here. There is a spacing. Okay, yes, so that's the only error. Let's run Betty again and see. All right, now Betty is happy. So let's compile the program. That's how we learn. We learn by making errors, right? So it's not every time that you'll be getting everything right? It's not all the time that you'll be getting everything right. So let's run the program now. Now you can see we have the result from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. As you can see. So initially, the program can still work the way we did it in the first place before cleaning the code. But what? We are only limited to 4 putcars. Had it been we can use more than 4 putcar, then we could have done the we could have solved the problem, but we cannot use more than 4 putcars. So that's why I have to rewrite the program. So now let's save. Let's commit. Okay, commit. This is task 9, right? So let's push. Okay, so now let's check the code and see if everything will work now. I just hope this works. Yes, so we are correct. So the checker has checked. This means that everything is now correct. Let me preview the file again before actually moving to the next project, so that I'll be able to explain again. Okay, so we are told to create a program that will print all the single numbers separated by comma and a space. So this for loop here will print the numbers from 0 to 9, as you can see. So when it started to print the iteration, it should first print the number that I contains. So the first number it will print is 0. So it will then check, is 0 equals to 9? In this case, 0 is not equals to 9. So it will what? It will execute this portion of the code. It will print this and it will print this. Okay, so it's going to print this in all the cases except if this I is now 9. If I is equals to 9, it will come here and check, is 9 not equals to 9? Definitely 9 is not equals to 9. 9 is 9, right? So it will not get this portion printed. So that's just it. Okay, so now let's clear our screen here.